Hey friends, Ash here with Gents. Hope that you're doing well. Today I've got kind of a simple video for you guys, just 5 fragrances that put me in a better mood. Fragrances that can lift me up a little bit, put a smile on my face. Fragrances that I have maybe good memories of, stuff like that. So today, no concentration on cheapies, beast mode, or compliment beasts. Just good old fragrances that make me happy. Let's jump into it. So let's kick this off with 2 fragrances. So I've already screwed the whole thing up here. It's gonna be 6 fragrances, not 5, but we'll get through this together. So these are ones that so many people around the world love, and I'm one of those people too. That's why they're on this list. Creed Aventis, Creed Green Irish Tweed. So for me, like so many other people, Creed was that entry-level niche house. These were some of the first niche fragrances I ever bought. I sampled both of them first. I got a whole bunch of official carded samples. Man, I was blown away at the time, years and years ago. I just thought, my God, the quality here, just so high. You know, I hadn't smelled as much then as I have now, but I can still remember getting those carded samples in and just being blown away, just thinking, ooh, this is gonna take me to the next level, baby. I even bought, man, probably 15 or 20 carded samples that were in those old vials. You used to be able to get the carded samples in vials. I think maybe now they're sprays, but it used to come with a little vial, and I popped each one of them open, dumped it into like a 30 milliliter decant bottle, and had my own really stupid way of making a 30 mil for myself. Because this was a time where I still hadn't really discovered the fragrance community and people selling decants and stuff like that. So at the time I thought, man, this is big brain. I can't afford the full bottle, right? So I'm just gonna buy the little bitty ones that are a little more affordable and then put them all together. So realistically, my little Aventis spray that I had, again, this was many years ago, probably had a whole bunch of what would nowadays be like holy grail batches, just all thrown together in one big mess. Now, in case for any reason you're unaware of these fragrances, Aventis, really well known for having pineapple in the opening, this great fruity, juicy opening that commands so much attention. Guys and girls both love this one. And then as it dries down, you get this birch that comes out, gives it a nice smoky profile. And of course, there's batch variations. So some bottles of Aventis smell more like smoke and some smell more like fruit. It's a whole thing. Then Green Irish Tweed, lemon verbena, mint, sandalwood, iris, violet leaf, some of the notes here. This is one of my favorites of all time. It's so green and fresh. It came out in the mid 80s. Still smells fantastic today, and does share similarities to Cool Water from Davidoff, which came out later. So if you've never smelled Green Irish Tweed, but you've smelled Cool Water, similarities between those two. So yeah, Aventis, Green Irish Tweed, love them so much, even to this day. And I know that Aventis especially, some people would say is played out, but every time I smell it, I'm reminded of that first time that I got it in, and I got a big whiff, and my mind was just blown. It's kind of like, I don't know, music. Like you hear a song for the very first time, whatever it is, or a band for the very first time, and that song just, wow, you know, it grabs hold of you and it doesn't let go, and you can listen to it over and 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 over again and still love it. That's Aventis. Next up, Intenso from Dolce & Gabbana. Intenso Pour Homme, since this is a flanker to just the original Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme. This has lavender, tobacco haze, cypress, and sandalwood as some of the notes in the scent. And this one never really caught on. When it was released, it had a really lukewarm reception. A lot of people just kind of wrote it off, weren't really impressed by it, you could say. And even to this day, it never really caught on. You got some people who think it's all right, some people that wear it now and again, and then a really small group of people that like it a lot, and I'm in that group. For a long time, this bottle specifically was one of my go-to office or more business-centric scents. I really enjoyed the little tiny twists that it did to Dolce & Gabbana's Pour Homme. I actually prefer Intenso to Pour Homme, and it reminds me of that time just before I started this channel, because I picked that bottle up about a year before I kicked off everything with Gents Scents. And of course, back then I had no clue that it would get to even 1,000 subscribers, let alone where we're at now. But Intenso still reminds me of that time where like everything was everything was, really exciting and everything was interesting. Back before I got obviously really heavy into this, it was just kind of like, hey man, I like this. And I know a lot of other people don't, but I'm going to wear it anyway. That's just kind of what that one was. So yeah, Intenso just puts me in a better mood, reminds me of that time just before I started this. Next up, Versace's The Dreamer. This one was a present from my wife. And if memory serves correctly, it was our first Christmas after we were officially married. When I say officially married, like we were unofficially married or something, I don't know. And it's just kind of a funny thing. I didn't have the fragrance at the time, and she went to like TJ Maxx trying to find me just a stocking stuffer, and she was looking for a fragrance, of course, and she was looking through trying to find something I didn't have, found this, and she told me, after I opened up the present and everything, yeah, I saw that it was Versace. I know the name, and I know that it's good, so that's why I got it. So she was basically just like, Versace, I've heard of that. Must be good. Thankfully, though, I really like the Dreamer, and the whole, tie-in that it has with that Christmas and everything doesn't hurt. Lavender, tobacco, sage, tonka, and some floral notes in this fragrance. It is a little bit divisive. Some people don't like the opening. They think that it's a little bit too out there for a mainline designer release, or they think it's just not pleasant to smell. I actually think it's really cool. I think it's unique. It's different. Doesn't smell like anything else out there. It's not trying to copy anything. Especially nowadays, you get a lot of fragrances that are just a little tweak of somebody else's thing that they did. And now you're like, hey, look, I got this thing that I did, and it's completely unique. It's got nothing to do with that dude. Invictus, I don't even know what that is. You've got a lot of that right now. A lot of mimicry. But with the Dreamer, it's its own thing. Love it, hate it. It does its own thing. I really like it. I like the tobacco, sort of a dry tobacco, not really a honeyed pipe tobacco in there. Lavender gives it a bit of powder, but in a good way. Love it. So from one fragrance that involves my wife a little bit to another, Tom Ford Tobacco Oud. This fragrance had a similar effect on me as Aventis and Green Irish Tweed did. The first time I smelled Tobacco Oud, oh man, is that the second time I've done it? Oh man, I feel like it is. No other way to describe it though. I just took one big whiff and I thought to myself, that is it. Whiskey, the oud, the tobacco, of course. It's like just that tobacco vanille, oud wood, Tuscan leather essence, that style of Tom Ford fragrance from that time period, just given this real boost of just not giving an F, just taking it and pushing it further, saying, okay, oud wood smells great, really versatile, easy to wear. Tobacco vanille, so sweet, so sumptuous, right? Oh, what can we do? Just push it, take the boundaries and move them a bit. Still retains that sweetness that you would expect from the tobacco in here, again, kind of drawing a bit of a parallel to tobacco vanille. But then you've got that oud, which instead of being quite as approachable as the oud and oud wood, here it's given a little hint of funk, just a bit, and then given that boozy whiskey, just kind of poured all over the top of it. Man, I fell for it. Just as soon as I smelled it, I thought, this I gotta own. Once again though, when I smelled this and I really wanted to own it, I didn't really have the extra money to splurge and pick up a bottle. So I did kind of a similar thing with this as I did with the Creeds. Only this time I had, I guess you would call it a contact, somebody that worked at a Tom Ford desk at a Nordstrom. And what they would do is they would sell me these little 4 milliliter bottles of this fragrance, along with a number of other Tom Fords, but primarily this one. So these little 4 ml bottles, I don't know if you've ever been to like a Tom Ford desk. I'm assuming they still do this, but if you would buy a bottle especially, they would make up these little 4 ml screw top bottles. They put it into a tiny little Tom Ford box. You're like, here you go, you can try out whatever, X, Y, Z. But I would just buy them, which you're not really supposed to do, I don't think. But it was way more affordable for me at the time. So I'd buy maybe 2, and then I'd put those 2 into a little 10 milliliter spray, have 8 milliliters of tobacco oud. I would make a little tiny label, put it on there, and I had this Tom Ford collection of like little tiny 5 and 10 milliliter sprays, because I couldn't afford at the time to buy a whole bunch of Tom Ford. The stuff's expensive. I know that, you know that. But I would run through those tobacco oud sprays, man. I would blast and blast and blast, and I couldn't get enough. I don't care what the performance was on that stuff. Man, if I had trouble smelling it because I was getting overwhelmed and my nose was shutting off, I'd be like, you know what that means? That means you need to spray a little bit more. Can't smell it. There it is. 10 minutes later, nose blind. I know how to fix that. Needless to say, it didn't go over so well with my wife because initially she hated tobacco oud. Now, when I say she hated it, I don't mean she smelled it and went, oh yeah, that's not for me. I mean, she went out of her way to say, I hate what you're wearing. It's disgusting. Never wear that again, ever. Like, she was dead set. No go. Thankfully, over time, she came around and now she likes tobacco oud. Oh, you hate this. I know how to fix this. I'll wear it 50,000 more times. Eventually, it's like I broke her will as far as fragrances go, her fragrance will. She had to succumb to the tobacco oud. So with that one, anytime I smell it, kind of reminds me of how much she hated it, how much I loved it, you know, the whole process of making my own little decants of the thing. It was a whole ordeal. All right, last up, Bulgari Aqua. Yeah, just the original Aqua Pour-Homme. So this one, it reminds me of my son. So my oldest son, he is not really into fragrances, but you know, on occasion, he'd come here and talk about this, that, or the other thing. And I was trying to figure out, you know, a fragrance for him. He could have one to wear maybe when he wanted to smell nicer or just for the heck of it. And he's, you know, a little bit shy. So it's this whole pulling teeth thing, trying to say, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What style? What do you think you would like? And it's just one of these things where he's like, aquatics, maybe something aquatic. Okay, that helps. Yeah, just, actually, that doesn't help a lot. That doesn't narrow it down enough. But we're looking through things, and of course, with this just being aqua and having kind of a different bottle style, settled on this, which is a really interesting aquatic, actually, when you think about it, because when most people say an aquatic, they probably just mean something ultra easy to wear. Maybe Aqua de Jo, for example, or something even sportier, fresher than that, something like a gym type scent. But Bulgari Aqua here has seaweed, along with orange, woods, lavender, and some other notes. But that seaweed kind of sets this apart from your fresher aquatic fragrances, because here you're getting something that's more oceanic, more salty. Some people might say, you know, it's a little bit too dirty for me for an aquatic, but I thought it was really interesting, really cool that that's what he went toward. Yeah, maybe it's not the easiest thing to wear for a younger kid, but you know, sometimes you gotta go out on a limb. So with Bulgari Aqua, he has a little 50 ml bottle, and then I have my 50 ml bottle, and it just reminds me of him. So of course, it puts me into a better mood when I smell it. It's a little bit of a different path than what I took. When I was his age, I was wearing Drakkar Noir and Brut. Well, there we go, guys. Some fragrances that just put me in a good mood for one reason or another. Like I said, it's not about compliments or beast mode or versatility or anything like that. Sometimes you just need a fragrance that's gonna work for you, make you feel better. Let me know in the comments, what are some fragrances that you guys wear just for you? Maybe something that reminds you of somebody, someplace, sometime, something that makes you happy. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. Thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for all your support. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you later.